Welcome to the dynamic world of biochemical techniques, where the realms of science converge to unlock the mysteries of life at the molecular level. In this introductory journey tailored for aspirants of CSIR NET Life Science, DBT GRF and GATE BT examinations, we delve into the indispensable tools of spectroscopy and chromatography. Spectroscopy, with its ability to elucidate molecular structures and interactions through the analysis of electromagnetic radiation, stands as a beacon illuminating the intricacies of biomolecules. Meanwhile, chromatography, with its diverse array of separation methods, empowers us to unravel the complex tapestry of biological samples with precision and efficiency. Together, these techniques serve as the cornerstone of modern biochemical research, offering insights crucial for understanding life's fundamental processes. So let's first understand about spectroscopy. What is spectroscopy? It all started with light. The word spectroscopy is derived from two words, spectrum and scopia. Spectrum, which means image in Latin, and scopia, which means observation in Greek. So spectroscopy is a general term for science that deals with interaction between the various types of radiation and matter. Radiation is a form of energy and light is an electromagnetic radiation, and matter is something which has mass and occupies space. So basically in spectroscopy we study that what happens when an electromagnetic radiation interacts with matter. As we all know that when light interacts with matter, several phenomena happens. Light can be absorbed, it can be transmitted. So absorption or transmittance of light can be studied, and this interaction of light with matter provides or elucidate useful information about the matter that we are studying. So in spectroscopy, we use various types of electromagnetic radiation. So light is an electromagnetic radiation responsible for sense of sight. And electromagnetic radiation is a type of energy that is transmitted through space as a transverse wave at enormous velocity. It consists of discrete packages of energy which are called as photons. And a photon consists of an oscillating electric field and an oscillating magnetic field which are perpendicular to each other. So this is the reason we call it as an electromagnetic, light as an electromagnetic wave. So electromagnetic radiation is a simple harmonic wave of electric and magnetic field fluctuating orthogonal to each other. Currently, spectroscopic analysis is one of the most common analytical approaches applicable from atoms to stars. So, spectroscopy technique is widely being used for analysis of variety of samples from atoms to stars. Now, electromagnetic radiation takes numerous forms known as electromagnetic spectrum. This electromagnetic spectrum includes the X-rays, ultraviolet rays, visible ray, infrared ray, microwave ray, radio wave radiation. So as shown over here, these electromagnetic radiations, different forms of electromagnetic radiation, they differ in wavelength, frequency, wave number, and energy. X-rays, they have shorter wavelength in comparison to radio waves and have higher energy in comparison to radio wave. So as we move from left to right, the wavelength increases, and as we move from right to left, energy increases. So wavelength and energy, there is an inversely proportional relationship. Frequency and energy are directly proportional, whereas energy and wavelength, or frequency and wavelength, are inversely proportional. Now, as shown over here in this figure of electromagnetic spectrum, So different electromagnetic radiations can be used for different purposes. For example, UV visible radiation can be used to study changes in electronic state. But if we want to study changes in molecular rotational vibrational state, then we will use infrared radiation. If we want to study only changes in rotational state, then we can use microwave electromagnetic radiation, and even using it we can study the electron spin as well. And if we want to study the nuclear spin, then radio waves can be used. Based on which electromagnetic radiation is used for analysis of sample, the spectroscopy is named accordingly. For example, if UV visible radiation is used, we call it as UV visible spectroscopy. If infrared radiations are used, we call it as infrared spectroscopy. If microwave is used, then we call it as microwave spectroscopy. But kindly note, the choice of the use of electromagnetic radiation depends upon the aim or objective of study. If you want to study electronic states, changes in electronic state, you cannot use infrared radiation or microwave or radio wave. The reason is that they differ in the wavelength and energy. So only the ultraviolet radiations and visible radiations have the energy to cause the electronic transitions. So that is why only UV visible radiations can be used to study changes in electronic state. Now in spectroscopy, we can study different types of spectra. So spectroscopy is the study of spectra produced when material interacts with or emit light. So three types of spectra we can study in spectroscopy. First is continuous spectra. When we pass the sunlight through a prism, it gets dispersed into 7 colors, and we popularly call it as VIBGYOR. So when sunlight is passed through a prism, the visible spectra is observed, which is a continuous spectra of VIBGYOR color. Continuous spectra is obtained when the white light is passed through a prism. However, when the interaction of electromagnetic radiation with matter causes the atoms and molecules to absorb energy and go to higher energy state, then this kind of spectra obtained is absorption spectra. So absorption spectra is obtained by absorption of electromagnetic radiation to atoms, ions or molecules of sample. So here you can see this is the simplified diagram, energy diagram showing the absorption and emission of a photon by an atom or molecule. So when a photon of energy h nu strikes the atom or molecule, absorption may occur. You can see the electron moves from the one energy state, that is the lower energy state, we call it as ground state, to higher energy state, which we call it as excited state. And even more clearly you can see over here in this diagram that when the photon of energy h mu interacts with the matter, the electron moves from the ground state to higher energy excited state. So excited state and ground state are not of equal energy, where delta E is the difference in energy state of excited state and difference in energy of excited state and ground state. So when the photon's energy h nu equals to that of the delta E, then the transition of electron from ground to excited state occurs. Now since this excited state is higher energy state, it is unstable. So everything in the nature has a tendency to acquire the lower energy state. So this electron comes back to the ground state. As you can see here, again it comes back from excited to its original ground state. So when the electron come back to ground state, they emit radiations, and this gives rise to emission spectra. So emission spectra is a spectrum of radiation emitted by a substance that has absorbed energy. Thus, spectroscopy is the study of emission and absorption spectra. So broadly, we can classify spectroscopy in two. One is absorption spectroscopy and another is emission spectroscopy. So UV visible, atomic absorption, infrared, Raman, nuclear magnetic resonance, that is NMR, and X-ray absorption. These are all the examples of absorption spectroscopy. However, the very popular example of emission spectroscopy is fluorescence spectroscopy. Now kindly note that each of these spectroscopy is used for different purposes. Like in UV visible spectroscopy, we use UV and visible electromagnetic radiation to analyze the sample. And specifically, UV visible spectroscopy is used when we want to perform qualitative and quantitative analysis of compounds in solution. Qualitative analysis tells us what is in our sample, and quantitative analysis tells us at what concentration. So for example, if we are analyzing a sample using UV visible spectroscopy, then it will tell us whether a sample contains DNA or RNA or protein or ethanol or any other organic compound, and at what concentration. So both qualitative and quantitative analysis of compounds in solution can be done using UV visible spectroscopy. We can also determine the mole extinction coefficient. We can study the microbial growth kinetics. We can study the melting temperature. We can perform melting curve analysis using UV visible spectroscopy. However, atomic absorption spectroscopy is used when we want to determine the level of metals and other electrolytes within the sample. To determine the functional groups, infrared spectroscopy is used, where we use infrared radiation. Even in Raman spectroscopy also infrared radiations are used, and it is mainly being used for contaminant identification, gemstone and mineral identification. In NMR spectroscopy, we study the nuclear spin, and the electromagnetic radiation used is radio wave. So using NMR, we can provide information about the structure and chemical environment of atoms or the biomolecules like proteins, like whether the protein is in polar environment or non-polar environment. And in X-ray absorption spectroscopy, X-ray is used, which is used to determine the elemental composition, chemical bonding of molecule. Then fluorescence spectroscopy is a type of emission spectroscopy. Actually, photoluminescence is used because photoluminescence is when light energy or photons stimulate the emission of photon. So it takes three forms: fluorescence, phosphorescence and chemiluminescence. So fluorescence is a type of luminescence caused by photons exciting a molecule, raising it to an electronic excited state. So in fluorescence spectroscopy, the light emitted is always of longer wavelength than the light absorbed. And using fluorescence spectroscopy, we can study various organic compounds, and even we can detect organic compounds, and we can study like in biochemical studies, we can study about the protein-protein interaction, ligand receptor interaction, or changes in conformation using fluorescence spectroscopy. And mass spectrometry, here we don't use electromagnetic radiation. Mass spectrometry is basically being used to study the mass to charge ratio of the ions in gas phase, sample ions or molecular ions in gas phase. And mass spectrometry, it is widely being used for analysis of proteins, sequencing of shorter peptides, and even for analyzing the environmental samples like water, and even we can detect the food contamination. Now, since we are talking about absorption spectroscopy, remember that all absorption spectroscopy follow Beer-Lambert's law. Beer-Lambert's law states that absorbance of a solution is directly proportional to concentration of the absorbing species in the solution and path length. Let's say this is a cuvette where we put our sample. So this cuvette contains a sample, and we pass the light with intensity I0. Now, as the light interacts with matter, some of the light will be absorbed and some will be transmitted. Like for example, if we have an empty cuvette, so if we pass the light through it, then all the light will be transmitted. 100% light will be transmitted and 0% absorbance we'll have. But if we have a sample in the cuvette, then let's suppose some portion of light is absorbed. Let's say out of 100, 60% of light is absorbed, then means 40% of light is transmitted. So absorbance and transmittance are inversely proportional. So if I0 is the intensity of incident light, I1 is the intensity of the transmitted light. And according to Beer-Lambert's law, the amount of light absorbed is directly proportional to the concentration of absorbing species and the path length, that is the path traveled by the light. So transmittance can be given by ratio of intensity of the transmitted light by intensity of incident light. And as absorbance is inversely proportional to transmittance and always it is measured in logarithmic scale, so we can write it as absorbance as log incident intensity by transmitted intensity. So as absorbance is measured in logarithmic scale and it is inversely proportional to transmittance, we can write minus log T, and T we already know that it is the transmitted intensity by incident intensity, and to remove the negative we can write it as incident intensity by transmitted intensity. And also we can express Beer-Lambert's law as mole extension coefficient, concentration, path length, as absorbance is directly proportional to concentration and path length. So more the sample, more the light will be absorbed and less will be transmitted. So always the log base 10 values are taken, and absorbance is unitless because mole extension coefficient unit is per molar per centimeter. Path length is always expressed in centimeter and concentration is expressed in moles per liter or molarity. So if we write down the units, then we have, so mole extension coefficient per molar per centimeter, path length in centimeter, and concentration molarity. So absorbance is unitless. And molar extension coefficient, it is constant for absorbing species. It is an intrinsic property of a chemical species that is dependent upon the chemical composition and structure. So it is a measure of how strongly a chemical species or substance will absorb light at a particular wavelength. So this is a brief overview of spectroscopy. For details you can always attend our regular classes or can watch the Biotecnika videos. So in the part 2 we'll know about the chromatography. So stay tuned and we'll see you in another video. Thank you.